There are significant moments in life that change everything. Upon reflection, one realizes that it began in a rather ordinary manner. However, that ordinariness is never unchanging. My narrative began in that way. Liam, my stepson, and I were enjoying a standard evening in the living room. In the wake of Marquez's passing, a profound silence settled over this residence. For 2 years, I had been working diligently to piece together the disjointed elements of my life. However, I had not noticed that Liam had developed significantly. It is possible that I was hesitant to recognize it. We were watching a dynamic film that skillfully blended action with romantic elements. Liam sat next to me, relaxed on the couch, arms casually stretched out, giving the impression that he owned the space. This was the first time I saw him in that way. His shoulders were more defined, and his jawline was more prominent. He had moved beyond the phase of boyhood. He was undeniably a man. Nevertheless, I promptly set that idea aside. He is my stepson, I reminded myself with clarity. However, that night I was unaware that those reminders would ultimately fall short. As the film advanced, the scenes grew more and more intense. Liam leaned slightly to the side, resting his arm on the back of the couch, drawing a bit closer to me. It seemed he was about to speak, but he held back. For a brief moment, our eyes met. I observed depth in his eyes. At that moment, a sense of unease enveloped me. A part of me tried to disregard it, to analyze the circumstances logically. It holds no significance, just a film, just a misunderstanding, I reminded myself. Nevertheless, my feelings were indeed accurate. In a captivating moment, I felt his breath gently touch my cheek. Unbeknownst to him, he had progressed closer. His hand on the couch was placed so close to my shoulder that I could not determine if he was about to touch me. I experienced internal disarray. The closeness to him created a sense of unease. Nonetheless, it evoked a certain excitement within me. The experience evoked a profound sense of fear within me. However, events were progressing swiftly, making it difficult for me to keep up with my own thoughts. "Cassidy," he expressed, his tone measured and slightly hesitant. "I would like to communicate a message to you." I confronted him, my heart racing. "Indeed, Liam," I inquired, though my voice quivered slightly. He conveyed his appreciation for all that has been done. Following Marquez's passing, "Your unwavering support has been invaluable to me. You had no obligation, yet you chose to move forward. Your presence guaranteed that I always felt connected in this home. You are accountable for this matter." His remarks had a significant impact on me, although the intensity of the moment made me even more vulnerable. "Of course, Liam," I responded, maintaining a composed demeanor. "Your presence is greatly appreciated." Nevertheless, he continued to hold his gaze on me. "Me too," he articulated deliberately, his voice carrying a rich and profound resonance. "Your presence brings me a profound sense of calm." The atmosphere between us abruptly turned heavy. He probably felt it too, as he subtly pulled back his hand, but his eyes stayed locked on mine. At that moment, I found myself unsure of the next steps to take. My heart was racing intensely, and my thoughts were in disarray. I made an effort to maintain the distance between us, yet a spark had already ignited in my mind. He had transcended his boyhood. That realization impacted me profoundly that night, and it was an insight that would change everything. On that night, Liam's attitude towards me changed. More passionate, more expressive. For years, I had taken on a nurturing role for him, yet the Liam beside me that evening had transformed from the child he once was. At 19, he possessed a tall stature, broad shoulders, and an undeniable charm. Nonetheless, he continued to be my stepson, correct? I maintained that thought as I endeavored to calm the intense emotions swirling inside me. However, I could not have foreseen that it would not come to a conclusion at that moment. As Liam looked at me that night, the depth in his eyes made me feel completely exposed. As I reflected on his unexpected emotional warmth that day, I overlooked the significance of the event that was approaching that night. This account, which began that evening, would fundamentally change the course of my life. If you enjoy hearing confessions of this kind, I invite you to join my channel, subscribe, and enable notifications to show your support. Rest assured, this narrative will stand out as one of the most thrilling experiences you will ever have. Several days had passed since that night, and Liam was exhibiting unusual behavior. Throughout breakfast, he engaged in conversation more often, and his eyes rarely left me. He commenced aiding with household responsibilities in a way that was entirely new for him. "Cassidy, allow me to assist you," he stated one morning as he watched me mopping the floor. He took the broom from my hands and began the task himself. I looked at him in disbelief. He had not participated in such an activity before. He remarked, his gaze locked into mine, that he is aware of your independent management of all responsibilities in this household. You are just one person. Your assistance is needed. The word surprised me and had an unforeseen impact on me. "Thank you, Liam," I conveyed, striving to steady the slight tremor in my voice. Nevertheless, a comforting warmth surrounded me. His honest acknowledgment of my solitude resonated deeply. While I was preparing food in the kitchen, I noticed Liam's gaze directed at me. He stood behind me, resting against the counter, quietly observing. However, they were not the kinds of appearances I was familiar with. His eyes scanned my form, the area of my pelvis, the area of my back, my hairstyle. At first, I thought I was simply experiencing a hallucination. "No, Cassidy, you are overstating the situation," I reminded myself. Nonetheless, I could sense the depth in his gaze. I made an effort to conduct myself in a typical manner. Nevertheless, I could not overlook the understated thrill I felt. I sincerely appreciated it. It had been a considerable time since I received such concentrated attention from someone else. After Liam left the kitchen, I found it necessary to step up to the mirror. I examined my reflection. During my 30s, I continued to maintain my appeal. I maintained a slender waist, ample hips, and a well-defined physique as a result of my dedicated training regimen. My light brown, wavy hair flowed gracefully down my shoulders, framing my face with a gentle touch. My breast tissue. It seems they have not taken my age into consideration. I had not taken the time to assess my reflection in the mirror for a considerable period. In that moment, a feeling stirred within me. A transformation was taking place. I perceived it. Liam's actions became more evident as the days went by. His gaze remained fixed on me. At times, it was a casual interaction. At times, just one word is enough. However, I started to notice that he was overstepping the boundaries between us. The most concerning aspect was my realization that I was finding enjoyment in it. After the occurrences in the kitchen that day, as I lay in bed that night, a single thought lingered in my mind. Liam had moved beyond the confines of boyhood. He had evolved into a refined, appealing individual. However, I could not have foreseen the level of my enthusiasm upon that realization. I was cognizant. In due course, a moment will present itself when all circumstances will converge into a complex scenario. One evening, I arrived back home after being out. The sight before me left me utterly astonished. Widespread candles, flora, a meticulously set table, an enchanting atmosphere. I was genuinely impressed by the birthday surprise that Liam had planned. At first, I found it hard to believe that it was meant for my birthday. This level of commitment seemed more akin to what one might invest in a romantic relationship. As Liam entered the living room to meet me, I immediately understood the reasoning behind my earlier reflections. He wore a white shirt paired with black trousers. I had not seen him in this way before. Exceptionally organized and remarkably charismatic. I found it challenging to look away from him. He stated with a slight smile, "I intend to make this day exceptional for you." He subsequently provided me with a package. As I opened it and beheld the dress inside, I looked at him in disbelief. The dress featured a bold, vibrant crimson hue, crafted from a sleek material, showcasing a distinct open back and a dramatic high slit. Upon witnessing it, I felt a powerful mix of excitement and apprehension within me. "Did you acquire this on my behalf?" I asked, taken aback. "Of course, it is your birthday, and I hope you choose to wear something remarkable." He expressed with assurance, "I am confident it will look remarkable on you," while maintaining a steady gaze. I collected the dress and made my way to my room. As I stood before the mirror, the soft crimson fabric embraced my skin, bringing forth a feeling I had not experienced in a long while. As I put on the garment, I realized that I hadn't worn an outfit that highlighted my figure so beautifully in years. My elongated legs emerged elegantly through the slit, while the contour of my waist and the sleek line of my back beautifully complemented the dress's design. I looked at my reflection, and after a moment of thought, I smiled and said to myself, "This is quite amusing. I am preparing myself for Liam. Indeed, I look exceptional in this attire." I analyzed my reflection with heightened attention, facing truths I had neglected for years. Even in my late 40s, this outfit revitalized my youthful spirit, allowing me to feel as though I were in my 20s again. My skin was flawlessly smooth, while my light brown hair flowed gracefully down my shoulders, elegantly accentuating my features. Inside, I felt a wave of excitement, a sense of exhilaration that I had not encountered for quite some time. Taking a deep breath, I stepped out of the room. As I made my way down to the living room, Liam's attention was firmly directed at me, steady and unyielding. His gaze made the situation even more peculiar. His gaze clearly expressed admiration. With a smile, I conveyed my appreciation, noting that I owe this to you. The outfit is exceptional. However, I quickly diverted my gaze, acutely aware of Liam's intense scrutiny. Liam asserted confidently, his gaze unwavering as it met mine. "Your appearance in that outfit is truly remarkable." Upon receiving such a straightforward comment, my pulse quickened. However, I endeavored to downplay it by replying, "You are exaggerating." Liam guided me to the table he had meticulously organized. 2 wine glasses were elegantly arranged alongside a bottle of red wine, artfully positioned in the center. For a moment, I found myself in a completely different circumstance. This did not resemble a birthday celebration. It had the ambience of a romantic dinner. Nevertheless, I chose to remain silent, as the atmosphere had completely engrossed me. Liam expertly uncorked the wine and elegantly decanted it into our cups. Melodic tunes resonated softly in the background, while the wine offered a delightful richness to our palates. At the outset, our conversation focused on historical aspects, particularly regarding Marquez and the changes we have experienced in our lives. As the evening unfolded, I noticed Liam skillfully steering the conversation towards a more personal topic. "Cassidy," he declared with a firm tone, his voice warm yet carrying a sense of seriousness, "how is it possible for someone of your exceptional standing to be alone? I do not understand it at all." I established eye contact with him, completely at a loss for words. "Liam, solitude is not always a deliberate decision. Life frequently leads to isolation," I observed, though his gaze carried a deep meaning. "You need not stay alone," he stated, lifting his glass to his lips. "A woman of your caliber has aspirations, Cassidy. Additionally, I am here." The words were restrained in my throat. His words impacted me more deeply than I expected. I raised my glass and took another sip. Nevertheless, my attention was unwaveringly directed towards Liam. This birthday has evolved into something far more significant than just a celebration. It was evolving into something remarkably unique. As he set his wine glass down, Liam kept his eyes fixed on me. "Cassidy, you present an impressive demeanor. I intended for this evening to be remarkable for you because—" "You deserve it," he stated, his voice calm but firm. I presented a subtle smile as I elegantly rotated my glass and my palm. "Thank you for your thoughtful words, Liam. Nonetheless, there are moments when I reflect on the reasoning behind your significant efforts," I noted. Liam raised an eyebrow slightly and replied, "Because you deserve it. You hold a role that transcends that of a typical stepmother, Cassidy. You surpass that description considerably." His tone carries a depth that both surprised and significantly impacted me. For a brief moment, we both maintained our focus on each other. The silence between us intensified the pressure. My heart raced, yet I found myself unable to find the courage to speak a word that could disturb the moment. Liam slowly stood up from his seat, navigated around the table, and came to my side. He leaned closer to me, placing his palm on the edge of the table. "Cassidy, you deserve to keep your solitude for those who truly appreciate your worth." He emphasized that no one should undervalue a woman of your stature. I began a discussion with Liam, despite feeling somewhat speechless. The words were stuck in my throat. As I prepared to express my thoughts, Liam leaned in closer to my face. He quietly expressed that he could not hide his emotions regarding this issue. Thereafter, his lips met mine. The kiss left me completely bewildered. I felt a deep passion, a closeness, a connection that had been absent for years. Liam's hand slowly moved to my waist, pulling me closer to him. A moment of astonishment swiftly evolved into an automatic reaction. Our lips were entwined for what felt like an endless moment, as if time had come to a standstill. Nevertheless, I found myself suddenly faced with the truth. I slowly created space between myself and Liam, completely out of breath. "This is incorrect," I clearly stated it, though my voice was quavering. "Liam, I need to return to my room," was all I could express. Liam looked at me intently and took a deep breath. "My apologies, Cassidy, but I could not contain this feeling," he remarked, his tone steady yet charged with fervor. I stood up quickly and hurried to my room. As I entered, I shut the door and leaned against it, taking a deep breath. My heart raced as I endeavored to understand the recent events. I took my place at the edge of the bed and looked into the mirror. Even my mirror appears unable to alleviate the weight of that moment. What factors contributed to this event? I quietly spoke to myself. The chaos in my mind, intensified by the effects of the alcohol, slowly guided me to my bed. As I laid my head on the pillow, the emotions and burdens of the evening enveloped me, leading me into a deep sleep. Nevertheless, the evening was far from over. Thereafter, I detected a faint sound. I opened my eyes and noted a shadow at the entrance. The door slowly opened, unveiling Liam's silhouette in the dim light. "Is Cassidy available?" He spoke softly. His voice was calm, yet it expressed a clear determination. My heart started to quicken again as he stepped into the room amidst the quiet of the night. I recognize that my presence here is not suitable. Nevertheless, he expressed his inability to manage it, closing the door firmly behind him. At that moment, the look in Liam's eyes suggested that the evening was far from over. The intensity of his gaze and the quality of his speech completely captivated me. My heart was racing with great intensity, as though it might burst from my chest. I acknowledged the importance of reaching out to him. As our eyes met, a surge of long-suppressed feelings suddenly surfaced. I acknowledged the importance of delivering a response. "Liam," I stated, my voice steady yet filled with genuine sincerity. "I completely understand your feelings. I have a strong attraction towards you." Liam's unwavering gaze completely captivated me. The emotions I had suppressed for years were no longer able to be hidden. My heart quickened, and I acknowledged the importance of responding. I took a deep breath to steady my quivering voice. "I recognize the necessity of delivering a response, Liam," I stated, directing my attention towards him. "I share the same sentiment. I have a strong interest in you." The moment those words were spoken, the mixture of surprise and happiness on Liam's face filled me with a sense of assurance. A composed smile appeared on my lips as I momentarily closed my eyes to gather my thoughts. "Respectfully." Before I wavered in my determination, I asserted, my hands moving to my shoulders as I articulated my thoughts. I carefully lowered the delicate straps of my dress. The fabric gracefully fell from my body, cascading to the floor, as I remained poised while Liam's breath momentarily faltered. The intensity of his gaze filled me with a profound sense of exhilaration. Liam approached me confidently, and our lips met once again. His kiss was filled with such intensity that it felt as though the entire world had vanished. His hand wrapped around my waist, pulling me closer as the kiss deepened. He gently guided me towards the bed. As we arrived at the edge, Liam's hands carefully positioned me onto the mattress. As I maintained eye contact with him, his commanding presence demanded my complete surrender. Liam crouched down, efficiently took off his shirt, and tossed it aside. He placed his knees on the bed and leaned in my direction. The depth of yearning in his gaze intensified the passion within me. His fingertips smoothly traced down my cheek, finding their way to my lips once again. In that moment, the obstacles that had formed between us throughout the years completely vanished. In that moment, I felt an emotion that had eluded me for over 2 years. I had fully surrendered. As Liam advanced, I grasped the covers tightly with my hands and closed my eyes. I permitted myself to fully engage with the tension and exhilaration coursing through my body. As I opened my eyes and took in the sight of Liam, his flushed complexion and well-defined shoulders captivated me completely. I reached out to his back and, in a fleeting moment of excitement, I pressed my claws into his skin. Liam appeared to take pleasure in the experience, as evidenced by the noticeable increase in his heartbeat. I placed my palm on his chest, feeling the quickened rhythm of his heartbeat, and in that moment, Liam could no longer hold back and yielded. We had yielded to each other, and Liam, breathless, settled beside me. On that day, during a discussion on matters of love, I drifted into slumber. From that day forward, my life was set on a path of significant change. I recently had an extraordinary night filled with joy. At that moment, I understood that this was just the beginning. Please remain attentive to the forthcoming developments, as this story continues beyond this point. Stay focused. If you have arrived at this juncture, I recognize that my story has significantly influenced you. There is a significant amount of information to share, and it is essential that you do not miss any of it. Please ensure to click the follow button, activate notifications, and share your thoughts on this narrative.